Hey Wanda, here we go. Let's take a look at your pro forma income statement. I think we agreed that you should be okay through the your two-year projected balance sheet. So we need to get that pro forma income statement, and then you'll do I don't know if you have it on here yet, but you were going to extend out your projected balance sheet a little bit too. So let's worry about the income statement first, and you've done a good job here on your monthly one. I didn't see any issues with that, so we should be in pretty good shape. When we look at the pro forma, you've got some of the stuff entered in here, and you're fine so far. Okay, you've got your sales, and in brief, let me just say this matches the this column here, your last column on your income statement, your monthly income statement. So you've got the top part correct, and you don't have any cost of goods sold, and you wouldn't have to enter anything in there really. Let me go back. Did I lie about that? Nope, that's right. Okay, I gotta check. How come you have maybe this was in there, but you've got right now this 18,789 or whatever, and that shouldn't be in there because your gross profit is just like on your income statement. It's at $25,380. Okay, then we just got to get this $4,387 of expenses plugged in to your pro forma income statement, and some of these you could argue whether they're selling expenses or general and administrative expenses, and you might have to tell me which is which. I'm not sure. I'm deleting that 18,000 because I don't think that's you didn't have anything like that. So you can delete that on yours just like that, and that's going to be your gross profit. This 27 must have been in there from something else. So you're going to have to tell me if some of these expenses are actually selling or general and administrative expenses. Clearly this depreciation expense is going to be, it's not on anything related to selling, so it's going to be this depreciation right down here, depreciation and amortization, and you should just link those, right? So you can just hit the equal sign and then come and link it right here to that depreciation. Okay, the 880 you've already got in there as insurance, that's great. The 2,500 fuel expense, that's one of them that you might have to tell me, you know, if that's, is that related to getting out and feeding and doing that type of stuff, or is that related to hauling your calves or your livestock, which whatever you're selling there, is that related to getting that to market? Is that related to getting that to the buyers, in which case it might be considered a selling expense? And there's no right or wrong there in those things. Okay, it's just whichever you can explain. So you've got the fuel, and what's the other one there? Your telephone expense. And again, you know, you could argue either way. You could sure put that down here as a general administrative, and it might be a selling expense. Whichever you want to defend is fine by me. And you're going to end up down here. Then you might have to put in the formula, but it's just going to be your gross profit minus your operating expenses minus your total general and administrative expenses. You don't have any taxes because you're not a C corporation, probably not. Okay, and so that's going to be your net income. And again, it should look just like, oops, I'm sorry, clicked on the wrong deal. It should look just like your income statement here, right? So your net income is just going to end up being that same $19,364. What do we do in subsequent years then? Okay, well, in subsequent years, all we can do is make some estimates about what our growth might be. Okay, and in your case, you know, the growth might be in units as much as it is in actual dollar amounts, and so you might have to fill me in on that a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where your sales amounts came from, if that's like 10 calves or 10. I gotta go back. I know it's called Ma's Making Babies, and I think it had to do with some kind of a breeding operation, but I honestly can't remember what it is you told me. So if you know, if you increase that by 2 units per each of those months, you know, what's that going to do to your sales? Or 1 unit per each of those months, or 10 units, whatever the case may be. that's going to have that kind of an impact up here on your gross sales. Okay, then I would argue that let's say your fuel expense ended up here as a selling expense. It should go up. If this was a 10% increase, your fuel expense is probably going to go up 10%, right? Because it should kind of change in line with whatever your sales are. Your depreciation is going to stay the same. Oh, by the way, we got to have interest down here too. I didn't tell you that, and I should have then from your income statement. 1,629. You might have to flop the plus or minus sign, right? So in this case, you might want to put this in as a minus. I'm getting a little sidetracked here, but that way it shows up as a positive number, so it changes things down here properly. Okay, but your interest is going to change. Your interest should go down a little bit, right? And you'll get that right from your loan amortization. Okay, so make sure you put that on there. Your depreciation is going to stay the same unless you're actually going to increase, and I know in some livestock operations that you guys get to depreciate mother cows and whatnot, mother animals, and so that could change. I understand for most people that would probably stay the same, but in your case I could understand that it might change. Your insurance, insurance tends to go up, so it's probably going to go up, right? So you just make some assumptions about how those individual expenses are going to change. You don't have a lot of them, so that shouldn't be too hard to figure out. And you just do that for each of the subsequent years and put that in there. Okay? That will take care of that, I hope. Then we take a look at your projected balance sheet, hopefully, when this thing gets going a little bit. And what I'm going to have you do is just add some columns to that projected balance sheet. If I can get it working, I'll be happy to show you how that's done. Looks like it's going to kick in. So, okay. So, in fact, I'm going to, I right-clicked to get this to happen up here. So I can right-click, but I think I can actually right-click. I think I can, yeah. I was hoping that I could, there we go. Okay, because I'm going to add several columns, so I think I can do that and highlight that many columns. That was a left click, I'm sorry. And I kind of held it down and went along there. And now I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert columns. Hopefully this works like I want it to. If not, I'll hit my reverse button. There you go. Okay. And you know what? I kind of like these labels, although it's going to change a little bit. And so I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. I'm going to hit my control button actually and paste it there and paste it here and paste it here. Okay, and then I can just hit the paste and that should make those kind of look the same. Ooh, it actually brought over that stuff, but I'll make these narrow. Cool. How's that look? Not bad. All right, I can make these white, but for now I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. So obviously it brought over these numbers, and I don't really want these numbers necessarily over here, although in some cases they came across just right. Ooh, I got to make that bigger. Hang on, I can't even see that. So sorry, my old eyes just don't work so good there. So okay, so in some of these cases it brought these numbers across, just right. And so we don't need to worry about it. And let's take a look. So your cash in bank, leave that for now. And obviously you're going to want to change this to 2017. But your cash in bank, let's not worry about that for now. And we'll come back to that. Your inventory, you can tell me. And you can kind of make this up. Is your inventory going to get bigger, smaller? Is that going to change a little bit? Well, that's why you had that. We'll have to go back and look at your income statement. I see now why you had that on there, but that's not really a cost of goods sold. That's interesting. Okay, I'll come back to that because we're going to have to take a look at that. Your machinery and equipment are not going to change. Your depreciation, now this is accumulated depreciation, okay? And so it's going to equal, in this year it's going to be twice this amount. In 2018, it's going to be 3 times this amount, and in 2019, it's going to be 4 times this amount. So you'll get here, and it's going to be $1,628 or something like that, right? Okay. And here it's going to be 814, and here it's going to be 1,200, and whatever that is. Okay. Intangibles, nothing there. Ooh, that's a big number and a wrong number. So current portion of long-term debt, if this was the first year principal payments and this was the second year principal payments, this is going to be equal to the third year of your principal payments. Okay. Actually, it brought your debt up here correctly. This is obviously incorrect because this is incorrect, and those two tie together. So again, this is just going to be the sum of payments. See, it should be about 30, the line 33 to 40 something. Okay, and this will be the negative of that, and that'll give you your total liabilities, which this is probably the right number for your total liabilities. Okay. This stays the same, and so that's fine. You did have retained earnings current. You must not have had any owner's withdrawal. That's pretty good. I'm sorry, this was actually, this is right. Okay, you got an extra line there for retained earnings current, so that's where I was getting a little goofed up. But that's going to become, this number will become your retained earnings beginning, right? If you had owner's withdrawal, we would deduct that from this number, and that becomes your retained earnings. And then this will become your retained earnings, and that's going to come from, oops, I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong one. That's going to come from this year's net income when you get it all figured out. Okay? And so that will go back and go into this projected balance sheet as your current earnings here. Should it be a little more than that amount? Probably. Okay, a little more than that amount. It could be a lot more. Just kind of depends on what you put on that income statement, right? And if you decide to have some owner's withdrawal, you might not, and if that's the case, that's fine. Okay. Then we come back up here, and what do? Well, this number becomes what I call your plug number. Okay. We're not doing cash flows for each and every year, and so I don't have a cash flow statement to go and access this. So I can just make this number. Remember, this is my total assets are going to equal my total liabilities and equity. Okay, so if I were to do it now, just as an example here, my total assets are $20,825. Then my number down here is $36,884. So I'm going to need to be about $16,000. And that's not going to be right, but it's going to get me close, right? So I'm 36,825 now, and I'm 36,884. What do I need to add? Another $59? 16,059? I'm doing that in my head. 36,884, 36,884. I did pretty good, right? So you make this cash number then, whatever's necessary to get that to balance. And that's really all there is to this statement. It's not that difficult. I'm going to go back. Your inventory, I just want to check something. So, okay, you got a business loan, you're buying. That's supplies, AI equipment, la-da-da. Okay. Okay, so your inventory is your veterinary supplies, your AI equipment and supplies, your clothing and gear, la-da-da-da-da. Okay, so you're not actually doing mama cows in or anything. It looks like you're just purchasing. You're going to go out and do AIing, is my guess. So your opening inventory is that stuff there. Then my question is, I think we might have to go back on your regular monthly income statement, because wouldn't you have a cost then? I understand that you bought all that ahead of time, but if you're listing it as your inventory, your AI supplies, wouldn't that be a cost of goods sold that we need to put in here? And then the question I would have for your startup, going back, and sorry we're having to go back, but trying to get a handle the type of business that you're doing here. It's a little unique for this project, and yeah, I got a little background in the ag side, but I probably didn't look at this as closely maybe as I should have. But do we need to list some of those AI supplies, whether it's the straws or whatever, in here as a cost of goods sold? Okay. We've got that inventory that's there on your startup, and I imagine it's here on your opening day balance sheet as well. But what happens to that inventory, right? And I think that what happens to it is that we probably need to enter that in as a cost of goods sold. And that's also then going to end up on that pro forma balance sheet. So we will have to, I wouldn't care that you worry about the inventory so much, but you would have it in here as a cost of goods sold possibly. And then obviously your income, if that is a cost of goods sold, your income here is going to go down quite a bit, but probably to a more logical amount from what I'm seeing here. So I think that probably go back and fix this first, and then you can make some progress maybe on those other things. But you're going to have to tell me how that's working, I guess, in terms of your business. So I'm going to stop for now, and let's try to get those things fixed, and get a hold of me if you have some problems, and we'll keep plugging away at this. So thanks, Wanda.